Then you got the 31st seed, Ayala. She gets a bye in the first round. She'll take on either Siegemund or Marchenko in the second round.
In late March, the Miami air isn't just around you. It is a tangible force. It clings to your throat like a wet cloth, a heavy, suffocating blanket of humidity, a predator that saps the salt from your body before your shoes even touch the court. This is a living environment that pushes the human body to its absolute breaking point. But at the 2026 Miami Open, the oppressive, soul-draining heat will be the least of their problems. The tournament draw just dropped, and the tennis world is vibrating with a tension you can feel. It's a low hum of anticipation that has completely hijacked the tournament's narrative. This is more than excitement. It's the primal sound of an unavoidable collision. One single matchup is generating a buzz that completely overshadows the champions and the world number ones. We are witnessing a collision. Of course, that feels less like tennis and more like a psychological thriller. A high-stakes mental chess match under the brutal, unforgiving Florida sun, featuring Alex Eala. The 31st seed, a gritty star, has her bye, but her path leads straight into a Category 5 hurricane named Laura Siegemund. To label Laura Siegemund a tennis player is to profoundly misunderstand what she does in a stadium. Siegemund is a master of the dark arts, a saboteur whose very name is synonymous with chaos and disruption. She possesses an almost supernatural gift for dismantling her opponents mentally, not with superior strokes. She won't overpower you with a blistering 120-mile-per-hour serve. No, she beats you by invading your mind. She defeats you by injecting a slow-acting poison directly into your confidence. She wins through a calculated, systematic, and utterly ruthless demolition of your mental fortitude. While this match promises a clash of styles, the physical game of forehands and backhands is secondary. The footwork is merely a footnote. This is shaping up to be a total mental war, fought not with rackets, but with sheer will. The question on everyone's mind, from commentators to fans in the nosebleeds of Hard Rock Stadium, is simple yet impossible to know. How will Alex Ayala handle the infamous and infuriating mind games of Laura Siegemund? Siegemund often casts herself as the victim when things don't go her way, claiming that she's treated like a cheater, as if she uses sneaky ways to win the match. She feels unfairly labeled a bad person, while others who throw rackets or scream at crowds face fewer consequences. For those new to the sport, it's vital to understand exactly who Siegemund is. For years, she has been one of the most polarizing and controversial figures in modern tennis. Her legacy is built not on a win-loss record, but on the smoldering ruins of her opponent's focus. She doesn't just play the ball, she plays the person across the net and the chair umpire. She plays the audience. And most critically, she manipulates the clock. It's the tour's worst-kept secret that her tactics extend well beyond the court's white lines. She is the queen of the delay. She is famous for exploiting every tiny loophole in the rulebook to slow a match to a glacial crawl. Her goal is to shatter her opponent's rhythm, leaving them standing at the baseline, bouncing the ball, just waiting and waiting, forced to stew in their own thoughts until self-doubt begins to fester. She is a master of the tactical shoelace tie and the strategic towel break. She is a practitioner of the momentum-killing medical timeout, and this Miami Open will be her stage. These are not small annoyances. This isn't about a player taking 3 extra seconds to breathe. Siegemund's history of controversial tactics is incredibly well documented, so widely known in locker rooms that it has become the first sentence of her scouting report. To fully comprehend the storm Ayala is walking into, you have to examine the blueprint for Siegemund's chaos. You must look at the history, at a key match that still leaves a bitter taste for tennis purists. It occurred on the sport's grandest stage, a night session at Arthur Ashe Stadium for the U.S. Open. Siegemund stood opposite the darling of American tennis, Coco Gauff. She was the phenom, the golden girl, a rising star shouldering a nation's hopes with unstoppable momentum. But that night in New York, Siegemund wasn't just competing. She was conducting a clinic in mental warfare. Her strategy was to systematically dismantle the match's rhythm, a pace set by the famously electric American crowd. And Siegemund turned that very energy into a weapon she aimed squarely at Gauff. It began with maddening, drawn-out delays between every single point, followed by lengthy medical timeouts for phantom injuries that would vanish the moment play resumed, or spiraling into endless, pointless debates with the umpire over calls that were never in doubt. Every action was calculated to keep Gauff from ever finding her rhythm, and it was agonizing to witness. It was like watching a race car trapped in gridlock. The frustration was a visible aura around Gauff. Her explosive power, her signature quickness, was draining away with every deliberate stall. You could see the doubt forming as Siegemund ambled for her towel for the 50th time. When Gauff finally broke, confronting the umpire about the blatant gamesmanship, a time violation was finally called. The stadium erupted. But instead of adjusting, Siegemund pivoted, launching into a theatrical, full-blown meltdown. She gave an award-winning performance as the persecuted victim, selling it with absolute conviction. She waved her arms, argued, and stalled the match even more to protest the penalty for stalling. It was a maelstrom of calculated chaos. Later, at the press conference, she faced the global media without flinching, claiming pure exhaustion, calling the crowd disrespectful, and the violation profoundly unfair. But any player, any fan with eyes could see the plain truth. It wasn't fatigue. It was a strategy. It was a cold, deliberate tactic to hijack the match. And when exposed, she used manufactured outrage as another diversion. The drama didn't stop in New York. The Siegemund playbook was on full display again at the 2026 Australian Open, where she committed an act considered by the tennis world as the ultimate sign of disrespect. In a heated contest against Hughes under a blistering Melbourne sun, Siegemund served while her opponent was undeniably not ready, with Hughes's back turned and racket down. In tennis, an unwritten code of respect exists between competitors. You wait until your opponent is prepared. Siegemund shattered that code. She won the point, but in doing so, she torched her remaining goodwill with fans everywhere. When Hughes rightfully demanded the point be replayed, Siegemund offered no apology and no let. She went on the attack, accusing the official of bias and claiming he was favoring her opponent. She screamed that she was within the rules and that it wasn't her job to monitor her opponent's focus. The match ground to a halt. Supervisors had to be called to the court just to restore order. This is the hallmark of Laura Siegemund's career. Create absolute chaos. Play the mind game until your rival cracks. Bend the rules beyond recognition, then cry foul when caught. She thrives in the sport's gray areas, feeding vampirically on the frustration of athletes who want an honorable game. But here is the major twist in the story for Miami. The reason this is the year's most anticipated match. As Siegemund prepares to unleash her toxic tactics again, she is looking across the net at Alex Eala. And to be perfectly clear, Alex Ayala is not some fragile, up-and-coming player. She is no rookie who will be stunned by cheap gamesmanship. Ayala is a warrior forged in the fires of real adversity. Her mental strength has been tested time and again, under crushing circumstances that would have broken weaker players. Ayala has survived her share of on-court nightmares. Critically, many involve the same umpires and referees that Siegemund loves to manipulate. Ayala knows the pressure of mental battles that have nothing to do with a tennis ball but everything to do with a toxic environment. Ayala has stared down extreme hardship every single time the world expected her to collapse. Each time the pundits counted her out, she revealed a mental fortitude of pure titanium, proven at the 2026 Australian Open qualifiers. For Ayala, this wasn't just a tournament. It was a career-defining crucible. She was already embroiled in a brutal, high-stakes battle that was physically draining. Her career was on the line, the pressure was immense, and then the system itself appeared to conspire against her. The refs were stealing the match. Blatantly bad calls were costing her points. Crucial replays were twisted in ways that felt engineered to kill her rhythm and keep her out of the main draw. It was the ultimate athletic nightmare, an injustice so raw it begs for a shattered racket and a primal scream. But Ayala refused to break. Instead of crumbling, she dug in, channeled the rage, and held the line. She wasn't a victim. She stormed the umpire's chair and demanded a challenge. Her stare was iron as she met their eyes, battling for the simple right to a fair contest. Then came the moment that silenced the hostile stadium. She forced them to overturn the call. This was more than a point won. It was a victory over the system, a triumph for her very soul. The message echoed across the tour. Ayala's power isn't just in her serve or her forehand. She possesses the raw mental fortitude to defy the establishment itself. She simply will not be bullied. That same demand for respect is what she'll need against Siegemund's inevitable drama in Miami. And this toughness is no accident. It's not a fluke. It's etched into her very character. Think back to her epic battle with Iga Swiatek, the world #1, a multiple Grand Slam winner. Facing that kind of titan would make 99% of the tour tremble in their custom sneakers. But Ayala went toe-to-toe, pushing the great champion to her absolute limit in the match of her career. And just then, fate tested her again, as a series of baffling calls threatened to shatter her confidence. The pressure was a physical force, an immense weight bearing down on her. A deafening roar filled the stadium. The stakes could not have been higher. Yet in the eye of that hurricane, Ayala was a fortress of calm, her focus a laser beam through the noise. She locked out the distractions, the calls, the crowd, the gravity of the moment protecting her mental bubble from outrageous rulings. When momentum was ripped away by forces beyond her control, she remained utterly composed, never complaining. No theatrics. She just walked to the line, bounced the ball, and fought back, overcoming it all with ice-cold precision. This is the quality that sets Alex Ayala apart. Siegemund can try her psychological tricks, she can use her delays and cheap tactics, but she's about to learn that Ayala is a battle-hardened veteran of pressure. She has already been through the wars. She has faced down biased officiating and the crushing, soul-crushing strain of playing the world's elite. You can't rattle someone who has walked through fire. But now, let's get to the preparation, because what's happening off camera is where the real advantage in this matchup is being forged. Ayala isn't in Florida just hitting against a machine or running standard drills. Her preparation has been laser-focused on countering the specific brand of chaos Siegemund brings. Leading up to the Miami Open, she has deployed a secret weapon in her training camp. She's been sparring day after day with João Fonseca. For those unfamiliar with the men's tour, Fonseca is a fearsome rising phenom known for his violently aggressive game. He wields explosive racket speed and a mental toughness that belies his young age. So, why Fonseca? Why bring in a male powerhouse to prep for a veteran trickster? Because his raw intensity and heavy, high-spin ball demands total focus, or you get demolished. Sparring with him isn't about rhythm. It's about surviving a brutal onslaught. While it has honed her defensive skills, its true value is in forging her mental discipline. Fonseca's pace leaves zero room for a lapse in concentration. Blink, and the point is over. He compels you to be faster, sharper, and mentally tougher than you ever thought possible. This is the perfect, tailor-made antidote to Siegemund's slowdown strategy. By training against Fonseca's relentless, high-octane attack under the blazing Florida sun, Ayala is wiring her brain to operate at maximum frequency, building a mental engine that cannot be stalled. This preparation makes it nearly impossible for Siegemund to drag Ayala down into her psychological swamp. Ayala has forged the mental armor for the attack she knows is coming. She doesn't just expect the mind games, she dares them to come. Her practice court became a laboratory for crafting an unbreakable mind. On the court, she and Fonka weren't just hitting balls, they were running combat drills. They drilled how to stay centered when their opponent shatters the game's rhythm. They honed a laser focus for when the court descends into chaos. Imagine it. Picture Fonseca purposefully stalling or arguing a point, just to test her nerve. Fonseca's game is pure, aggressive focus, a spirit Ayala has fully absorbed. She sparred with a heavyweight for a month. Now, a street fighter won't make her blink. When the lights glare down in Hard Rock Stadium and the umpire calls time, this won't come down to first serve stats. It won't be about errors. It will be about who breaks first. This is a raw, brutal contest of psychological warfare. Laura Siegemund will inevitably pull her usual cheap tricks. It's who she is. Expect endless delays toweling her racket. She'll burn 3 minutes arguing a ball mark, debating geometry with a weary umpire. She'll stall deliberately, trying to cool Ayala's muscles and spark frustration in her mind. She'll try to turn the match into a circus, to get the crowd jeering. But Alex Ayala is ready. She has walked through fire for years. She has faced down a broken system, looking corruption in the eye. And she never gave a single inch of ground. She has gone toe-to-toe with the world's best and absolutely refused to be intimidated. The grueling training block with João Fonseca left her physically primed and mentally armored for a war of attrition. With the 2026 Miami Open looming, the city is electric with anticipation. This is more than a game. It's a battle of wills. It's a mythic clash. The veteran's dark arts against the rising star's iron will. Can Siegemund's brand of chaos finally shatter Ayala's focus? Or will Ayala's brutal training and battle-forged resilience be a bulletproof shield? Fans everywhere have circled this date in red. They know this is no routine match you watch while scrolling on your phone. This is primetime theater, a raw look at what it takes to compete at the highest level. Skill is part of it, but the real war is fought in the terrifying, lonely 6 inches between the ears. This is a battle for the competitor's soul. Alex Ayala walks into this arena with her head high, her eyes fixed on the prize. If Siegemund arrogantly thinks she can run the same toxic playbook she used on Gall and Hughes, she is in for a brutal awakening. Ayala will not be a victim in her twisted games. The delays, the fake injuries, the umpire drama, none of it will get to her. She will stand on that baseline, cool and composed, rising above the drama and remaining violently focused on her game plan, and prove to the world she is a force to be reckoned with, on the court and in the head. This isn't just about advancing. This match is a declaration. It's Ayala telling the entire sport that the era of being bullied by cheap mind games is over. She has the skills, the motivation from past injustice, and the unyielding will to overcome the chaos. The showdown is here. The psychological battle, the immovable object against the disruptive force, is about to begin. And Alex Ayala is ready to step into the blazing Miami lights on center stage. Improve her mind is the ultimate weapon in her arsenal. Get your popcorn ready, clear your schedules, and buckle up, because the 2026 Miami Open is about to see something special, something raw, something unforgettable. Alex Ayala isn't giving an inch. She's coming forward like a freight train, and God help anyone, especially Siegemund, who stands in her way with anything but their best tennis. The time for talk is over. The mind games are about to slam into a brick wall. Chaos awaited on the court, but as Ayala strode into the storm, she was a predator ready to claim it all.